Hey developers, welcome to Devcovery. Today, we're bringing you the hottest open source projects trending on GitHub, so you don't miss any tech developments worth your attention.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into a trending project on GitHub, Codex, a lightweight coding agent built by OpenAI that runs directly in your terminal. With over 62,000 stars and growing, it brings AI-powered code assistance straight into your development workflow without needing to leave the command line. If you've ever wanted an intelligent coding companion that works where you work, this one is worth a close look. What if the most productive developers never leave their terminal? For a certain type of engineer, the kind who SSHs into remote servers at midnight and considers a mouse a liability, a coding AI that lives in a browser tab is already a failure of design. OpenAI just shipped an answer to that problem. Codex is a lightweight coding agent built by OpenAI to run locally in your terminal. It delivers AI-powered code generation, debugging suggestions, and technical Q&A without forcing you to open a browser or a graphical editor. The project has accumulated 62,085 GitHub stars, with 193 added today alone, and 8,243 forks. For a developer tool at this stage, those numbers tell a clear story. The market was genuinely waiting for something exactly like this. The core problem Codex solves is context switching the mental cost of interrupting focused work to consult an outside tool. Picture a back-end developer deep in a remote SSH session, halfway through writing a shell script. The old workflow: open a browser, search for the syntax, lose the thread, try to get back. IDE plugins improved things, but they require a graphical environment and a full editor installation. Neither option works well for developers who live in Vim, Emacs, or a plain terminal. Codex treats the terminal as a first-class environment and brings AI assistance there rather than asking developers to come to the AI. Now, the architecture is more sophisticated than it first appears. Codex uses a layered design. On the surface, there is a thin Node.js command line client installed via NPM or Homebrew, but the real engine is a Rust-powered local server running in the background on your machine. When you type Codex, that client communicates with the Rust process, which handles state management, file system access, authentication, and calls to OpenAI's backend. Rust was chosen deliberately. For a persistent agent that touches your file system and manages authentication tokens, Rust's memory safety guarantees reduce vulnerability risk significantly. The tool compiles to a single native binary with no runtime dependencies, meaning fast startup and minimal resource consumption. The system also includes a skills architecture. That is a pluggable module design that extends what the agent can do. One built-in skill, called Babysit PR, monitors a GitHub pull request asynchronously over time. Think about what that means. That is not a chatbot responding to a one-off question. That is an agent executing a sustained, stateful task. Client-server communication uses JSON schema as a standard protocol, which means future clients, IDE extensions, desktop apps can all plug into the same Rust backend without redesigning the core. The practical scenarios map directly to the target audience. A backend developer on a remote server via SSH can generate shell scripts or query Linux command syntax without ever leaving the session. A DevOps engineer writing Kubernetes configuration files can produce boilerplate and check syntax instantly. Developers using terminal-based editors like Vim or NeoVim can treat Codex as an external tool for uninterrupted AI assistance. Data scientists working outside Jupyter Notebooks can generate Python code snippets on demand. Getting started requires a single NPM or Homebrew command, and existing ChatGPT Plus or Pro subscribers can use it at no extra cost. That said, the risks are real and worth naming. Codex is fundamentally a thin client for OpenAI's infrastructure. Any change to their API pricing, model availability, or service reliability has direct consequences for every user of this tool. The local agent also handles sensitive authentication tokens and has access to your file system. The security surface is not trivial. And the build system, Bazel, which manages the project's mixed Rust and JavaScript codebase, carries a steep learning curve that could slow community contributions over time. Heavy dependence on a single AI provider remains the central structural risk. Codex is a serious attempt to rethink where AI assistance belongs in a developer's workflow. For engineers who consider the terminal their native environment, it offers a more coherent answer than browser tabs or plugin-heavy IDEs. The architecture signals ambition well beyond a simple chat wrapper.
That's all for today's Devcovery. We hope these GitHub trending projects spark some inspiration for your development work. You can find all the repos mentioned in the description below. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you tomorrow at the same time.